Hello. Good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of. Are you getting my voice or not? Hello.
You are audible, sir.
Yes. Okay. So, meeting again in session of philosophy, and we're going to start with new chapter from Robert's philosophy. That is the Law of Palliation, the chapter number 19. Yesterday, we have finished the separation concept, the earlier chapter. The two lectures we have discussed separation. Suppression is the condition where the disease transforms from less important organ to the more important organ due to some local measures. And this is what is the suppression, which we have learned. And many examples Robert has given in order to explain this concept. Even modern science accepted this concept with the metastasis name, but a little bit rather different. But it is based upon the concept of suppression which Hahnemann have explained. And this suppression is quite common, which we used to find it out in our day-to-day practice many times. In fact, a number of times. The another close concept to the suppression is the palliation. And today we're going to start with new chapter, that is Law of Palliation. So what is exactly palliation, and what is homeopathic palliation, and what is allopathic palliation? We have to understand this difference basically. So one important thing which we have to take into consideration, the concepts in clear. Palliation is nothing but the temporary alleviation of the symptoms is called as a palliation. It is just temporarily feeling better is the concept of palliation. Allopathic concept of palliation is like that they just remove the pain. That's what palliation is there from their point of view. And that's why the medication is rather different. If the patient they consider incurable, they keep him on palliation. If the patient is having cancer and now it becomes there is nothing remaining, the chemo is finished, the radiation is finished, the surgery is finished, then they use only palliative opium derivatives. These are things that is rather different concept in allopathy. The homeopathic concept of palliation is completely different. There is no line of demarcation between the cure and curable and non-curable. You cannot define, you cannot say this is curable and this is non-curable. So there is no different set of medicines which we will going to use for the patient as a palliative in homeopathy. But our concept of palliation or method of palliation is one and same, that you take the case, take the totality of the symptoms, find it out a right remedy and give it to the patient. The same remedy works as a curative, same remedy works as a palliative if the case is beyond curable state. There is no question of separate remedy in the homeopathy. And this concept one has to understand. And that's why many times it happens that patient looks incurable, you start giving medicine and it works as a curative. Because it is the right stimulus at the right time and the axis is changed now. It changed from incurable to curable. And it happens a number of times in our practice. So no question of giving different medicine to the patient as a palliative in case of homeopathy, whereas in allopathy, there are separate groups of medicines and which they used to use as a palliative. So basically, first, this difference one should understand. So let us go with the chapter number 19, the Law of Palliation. Physicians who have been somewhat trained along homeopathic lines manifest more confusion in the treatment of incurable diseases than in almost any other field of medicine. This is the question which arises in many students' mind, many homeopaths' mind, that what palliative remedy you have given. There is no question of giving a different palliative. You should not make confusion. You should not think like allopaths. When faced with incurable cases, the thought occurs to a great many physicians to administer palliative measures in an effort to alleviate suffering and to attempt to hide the patient and from the family the real seriousness of the situation. Although they may mean well, it is an effort expended in the wrong direction and does more harm than can well be estimated. There is no place in the field of medicine where obliteration of symptoms will cause so much of confusion. So there is no possibility of accurate prescribing as in these incurable cases. So there is no question of separate group of remedies as a palliative in homeopathy. You should not born or should not develop a confusion in your mind regarding the concept of palliation. And that's why the law of palliation, which is trying to explain over there, that homeopathic law of palliation or concept is rather absolutely different than allopathic concept. If the patient is having very severe pain, what do? They just give the first palliative remedy, any analgesic, strong analgesic. If it is not settled with that, they change the analgesics, but they tries to palliate the pain. That is the only aim, which is not there with homeopathy. Our line of treatment depends upon same method that as we used to handle any case. So we have to take into consideration the patient's complaint, the totality, find it out, the remedy for the patient, and give that remedy to the patient. That's all. And this is what he explains over there in the second paragraph. The basis of cure is fundamental law of similars. Our aim is cure. Our aim is not palliation. Our aim is always cure. The basis of cure is the fundamental law of similars. The law of similars is the fundamental law as also in palliation of incurable states. So even it looks incurable, law of similars remains law of similars. There is no question of a different remedy as a painkiller. The administration of narcotics or sedatives suppresses symptoms and destroys the power of elimination by locking up the secretions in all states so completely that we cannot get a true picture of the condition of the vital force and energy upon which we must evaluate our symptomatology. The palliative role in allopathy depends upon narcotics. Narcotics means they are the measures which are sedatives, which are just a painkillers, which makes the benumbed sensation. And what happens when you use such types of medicine? The symptomatology gets hide, it gets hidden. And once symptomatology is hidden, you cannot reach to the right remedy. So giving such types of tablets, the opium derivatives, always creates a problem. But that is the only method which is available in allopathy. The result of palliative treatment by the use of narcotics demands the continual increase of the drugging, for as soon as the effect seems to be subsidizing, the more drug must be administered. If you see that patient who is suffering from cancer, and if their weapons are stopped, that means the radiation surgery and chemo that has finished, nothing is working, the line of treatment remain in their hand is palliative. What do they do? They give the strong narcotic medicine. And once they give that medicine, patient feels too happy after taking that because he goes in a different world. It is a drug remedy. And drug remedy produces happiness, a benumb state. Pain is lost. How much time? Depends upon patient situation. Sometimes it is 6 minutes, sometimes it is 6 hours, sometimes it is 12 hours, sometimes it is 1 day, 2 day. Then when effect is gone, the patient comes again with the pain. The pain is increased. Now instead of 5 milligram, they start giving it 10 milligram. With 10 milligram for a day or two, they always feel better. Again, he comes that now it is not working. Then they increase the dose 15 milligram. And patient dies because of narcotic poisoning, not because of his original disease. This is what happens, and that's what he is explaining. It becomes a vicious circle. Vicious circle म्हणजे दुष्ट चक्र. It becomes a vicious circle from which there is no escape except to be sent to the ultimate end in confused and half-dead condition, instead of being helped to live out as many years as possible in the easiest, quietest, and most gentle manner. So, if you give such types of measures as a palliative, you are making the patient half dead. It will not give life to the patient. Patient becomes dull day by day. Day by day, he goes addicted to that narcotics. And at the end, you'll find that patient doesn't have his own life. He's absolutely addicted to it. This is what happens with such types of medicine. And Hahnemann and Robert, they criticize this method of allopathic palliation. Instead of that, the homeopathic method of palliation is rather just using law of similars. In The Genius of Homeopathy, page number 79, Stuart Close gives us the following admonition. So he takes the reference of Stuart Close. Many substances are used medically in such form, in such doses, by such methods, and upon such principles as to be distinctly depressive or destructive of the normal reactivity. They are forced upon or into the suffering organism empirically without regard to nature's laws, so far as their effect upon disease is concerned. They are in no wise curative, but only palliative or suppressive, and the ultimate result, if it be not death, is to leave the patient in a worse state than he was before. So what he is saying, such types of palliative drugs which are used in allopathy, what do? Stuart Close says they are not of any use. They never gives life, they never gives a good relief to the patient. But what do? They temporarily alleviate the patient followed by a big depression. The symptoms increases. The rule is always there. The palliation is always followed by an aggravation. And this rule always comes out. So whatever you have palliated, it remains temporarily, and whenever disease returns, it returns with more and more strong symptoms. Existing disease symptoms are transformed into the symptoms of an artificial drug disease. The organism is overwhelmed by a more powerful enemy which invades in its territory, takes the violent possession, and sets up its own kingdom. Such victories over the diseases are hollow mockery from the standpoint of true therapy. So what Stuart Close is saying, such types of medicines which you used to use as a palliative, they causes their own effects on the body. The patient who was normal enough becomes drug addicted, and they feel that he is not having the pain. They are happy, but what at what cost? The normal person now becomes addicted. The normal person who is under the control of that drug substance, narcotic, not remaining in the real world, he is in a different world. And then the poisoning of that drug substance on the body ultimately leads towards the death. And this is not called as a true therapeutics. See, Stuart Close was an intelligent person. Whatever he has said and whatever he has commented is very true. You observe the patient. My suggestion is always to the student, go to the such centers, cancer therapy centers or rehabilitation center, and you see what do. They give such types of medicine for keeping patient pain free. How much time? It is not long time. It is for some time, and patient dies. They are happy that we have given painless death. Question is that you are happy with the painless death. Question is that whether you given life to the patient. Is it a through therapeutics? So, see, whatever he is saying is very truth. All those measures are of temporary use. And when his next paragraph, what he says, when we are facing these incurable conditions, the administration of the similar remedy almost always ameliorates the situation, at least for 3 or 4 days, and usually for a longer period. Then we may have a return of symptoms when indicated remedy will be called into use again. These conditions of impending fatality are usually accompanied by great many symptoms because the whole organism is involved and gradual dissolution is taking place in every part of the economy, and vital energy is so nearly overcome as to be unable to throw off these manifestations. Sometimes one symptom or set of symptoms predominates and becomes the annoying, troublesome, disagreeable symptom only. In these conditions, we must retake the case and re-examine the remedy that we have been using to see if it corresponds with the disease condition. If the similarity exists in this especially troublesome manifestation, these patients can be made much more comfortable. So instead of allopathic palliation, if we go with the homeopathic palliation, the remedy which we are going to find it out is based upon law of similars. So it is the same remedy, it is not a different set of remedy. Whatever remedy is there of the patient is the remedy as a palliative, as a curative. If you give that remedy, it will not hide any symptom. It will work, it will stimulate, it works in the same plane dynamic. Sometimes it happens that after giving the remedy, there are new symptoms which arises, a group of symptoms, which might have hidden for longer time. Now you get big totality. Now you get many symptoms. And with those symptoms, you get a new set of symptoms with which you can find it out new totality. You can reach to another remedy. And if you give that remedy, patient who was looking incurable can be turned into the curable state. So homeopathic remedy never obstructs the vital expressions of vital force. Homeopathic remedy stimulates the vital force, and it many times it stimulates the vital force to express it in the form of signs and symptoms, and because of which it is possible to reach to the right remedy, to get the perfect remedy. And if we are able to get a perfect remedy, we can able to achieve a cure also in incurable cases. And this is rather different than the allopathic concept of palliation. Then in next paragraph, he says, for instance, a recent case of incurable cancer developed involuntary urination with absolutely no control over condition. Her remedy was one of the calcarea group. For this troublesome symptom of involuntary urination, the repertory gives us 5 remedies of equally prominent rank, which we may consider arsenicum, natremur, pulsatilla, rustox, and causticum. With the constitutional similarity to the patient, to the calcareas, causticum was only remedy to be considered, and 1 dose of causticum 200 restored complete control over the disagreeable symptom and made the patient more comfortable in general. So he is giving example. He has given simple example that patient was looking towards the, it is an incurable case of cancer with involuntary urination, and that involuntary urination was creating problem. Then if he has explained that there is a rubric where you can find it out, this involuntary urination in the repertory, and there are 5 remedies marked. Then you find that similarity is with causticum, where the involuntary urination generally in seconds sleep happens to be there, or because of coughing, because of sneezing, because of laughing, if the urine is getting dribbled, causticum is the remedy. If you give that remedy, the patient becomes more comfortable. It stops. See, it is more embarrassing for the patient sometimes that if patient laughs, talks loudly, or sneeze or cough, and urine passes involuntarily, see how much embarrassing it is. And if you treat it with the help of your homeopathic remedy, and there are many more, If you open your Kent's repertory, open the chapter, the bladder or urination, then you find involuntary subrubric and coughing while, sneezing while, laughing while. You'll going to get the causticum again and again. So he has given very good example of palliation with the help of homeopathic remedy. Another, what he says in next paragraph, another class of symptoms that is more troublesome and which often falls under the use of palliative is composed of the patients who complain of insomnia. Insomnia, sleeplessness. What do in allopathy? They give sedatives. On day one, after taking the sedative, the patient gets very good sleep. He is very happy. Next day, he never takes the sedative pill. And next day, he is fully awake. This is what happens. Then he has to take it again and he becomes dependent. There are many patients comes in our OPD and they say, doctor, I please don't don't stop my remedy. Please don't stop my this medicine. I could not get sleep otherwise. They're addicted to those because it used to produce only palliative effect, nothing more than that. So these patients will yield to the law of similars with pleasing results in their whole constitutional state, but not unless this symptom is considered with the concomitant that point to the remedy. Insomnia may be the outstanding irritating symptoms in many varied symptoms picture. In some cases, there is general coldness. The patient will lie for hours awake unless he is covered with extra bed clothing, although he may not be aware of being uncomfortably cold. Worries of a business nature may be the cause of accompanying symptom picture, or family disturbance may be at the bottom of trouble. There may be pain and distress in certain parts. Any of these things attend a symptomatology of which the insomnia is but part. Does he fall asleep if his knees are heavily covered? Is he kept awake by a rush of ideas? Is he lying awake because of he fears that something will happen to him if he drops off to sleep? When does he lie awake? On first going to bed or after midnight? In other words, what are the concomitant? So see, there is a lot of difference between the homeopathic understanding of treating the insomnia and allopathic understanding of treating the insomnia. In allopathic aspect, there is only a tranquilizer or a sedative, finished. They never cares what is the cause behind the insomnia. He has put many questions. Whether the patient is having insomnia because of many thoughts, anxieties, worries. Whether it is because of business worries, the remedy is different. Whether it is because of his habit of taking the tea, because of which he is not getting the sleep. Whether it is because of some uh, family problems, because of which he is not getting the sleep. There are many more reasons, and our remedy depends upon that, and not, it is just, there is no direct a sedative, a tranquilizer, which we will going to use. So this is the different concept of palliation with homeopathy. So a big difference between allopathy and homeopathy regarding the concept of palliation, one must understand. And if you are able to understand this, then you will reach to the very perfect remedy. So I think it is better to stop over here. Tomorrow we'll continue with the next paragraph and we'll learn much more. Today evening also we're going to learn a new remedy. Yesterday we have finished Naja. Today I think new remedy is the natrum carbonicum. It is a big remedy, a constitutional remedy, which we're going to learn from Alan's keynotes at 8:15. So be there at 8:15 to learn the natrum carbonicum, and we'll continue with this. Thank you being there, and
Thank you,
you
sir.
may ask your friends to join.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.